Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, treasure looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face.
They don't put words into my mouth.
Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I say to hell.
On Core Digest,
I want to know why I should be believing them.
every weekday, we bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody have the right in Nigeria,
where you are the judge.
Good to have you join us again. You're still on to Core Digest Extra on Core TV News, and my colleague earlier handled the newspaper review, Abosede Omowe. I hope you learned a lot and, of course, determined to get 1 or 2 copies of the papers to actually have a full read, of course, with the interesting headlines of the lady that had to give her father breast milk for him to survive, and the technical mattress that can make a spouse detect whether his wife is cheating or not. You know, the lengths people would go to advertise their goods, but you want to read those stories to actually find out all the details about that story. My name is Omotayo Alo, and this is the segment where we get to discuss something that is actually a source of trouble, a source of sadness to so many homes. And when I mean so many homes, you know, it's something that relates to both the male and female. And this particular issue, we've actually looked at it on the program before, but you know, there is a need to look at it because the rate of divorce, the rate of separation is actually on the rise. And so we want to take a look at, you know, this issue of relationship and marriage. What could we do, or what could really be done to make it work, really? Because, you know, today's Saturday, and every Saturday we see people walk down the aisle on the altar, you know, promise to say I do, millions are spent, and at the end of the day you wonder what is happening. And only recently a movie star actually expressed and shared on social media how a marriage of 10 years can no longer work, how her husband moved out of the house, leaving her and 5 children. And you want to ask if these entertainers are supposed to be role models to those who actually follow them in society, then what is really happening with marriages and relationship? And today on the segment, I have 2 good hands who will be discussing this issue with me. I'll start by introducing Olufunsho Ige. He's a marriage counselor. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you today. And we have Chidima Onwobi, a family life coach. Good to have you around. Yes. Good morning. Now this issue of relation, like, you know, backstage, you know, before we went on it, you said there's a difference between relationship and marriage. And so the question is, what really is the difference? I'm supposed to think that relationship transcends into marriage. So what do I need to get clearly in that area? Olufunsho.
When you look at relationships, there are several things that create relationships. It's not every relationship that will transcend into marriage, because it depends on the core of the relationship. It's not every relationship. For example, somebody can just be a friend. One of you just sees your relationship as a friendship relationship. The other person may be reading meanings into it. But until the other person feels the way you feel, there's no relationship in the context of leading to marriage. It's just a friendship. So when you are talking about relationships, naturally the way God created man, you cannot live alone. You must relate to somebody. And that's why we need to properly define relationship. Eventually, marriage evolves. It may be as a result of a long-term relationship that went beyond friendship into more intimacy and closeness. And you just realize that this person is very important to me. I don't mind spending all of my life with this person. We have similar values, we have a lot of things in common, and we are friends. At that point in time, as they are arriving, then somebody says, will you marry me? Now, most people, because they have been looking for marriage for a long time, probably age, and so many other things the society comes, you say yes without considering.
All right, now you said something about how long relationship extend into marriage, and one
Yeah.
would just think that in those years of relationship you get to understand each other better. Probably you have fun with keeping each other's company, but in marriage you get to find out that such lovebirds who actually decided to get married are now having issues, and it's beyond issues that could be settled. It's something that one has to leave the order and the rest. And so the question is, how do you make marriage work?
Okay. Yeah, fundamentally, from what he said, you need to define your relationship. While he was talking, he just reminded me of a lady who was friends with this guy. And suddenly the guy came announcing that he was getting married to someone else. And the initial lady suffered a heartbreak. But when we spoke with the guy, he never told her he was going to marry her. So people need to know that when you're in a relationship, the relationship must be defined. At a point where you are getting closer, you need to come together and ask yourself, what are we doing? Say what it is that the relationship is. If it's friendship, then you know.
Yeah.
If it's something leading to dating, courtship, then you know, so that you don't wake up one morning and say you're heartbroken when the other party has not broken your heart. Okay, so like you said, friendship, relationships will evolve to marriage. Some,
yeah.
While you are relating with someone, you could find out that you don't have commonalities, you don't have shared values. The relationship can be called off, because if you go into marriage with someone you don't have shared values with, it's already a problem in the making.
Alright.
So what will make marriages work fundamentally for me is for couples, spouses who are dating and want to get married to get to understand that marriage is just I like to liken marriage to the smallest unit of a family, where the family is a reflection of the society. So if you want to be in a working marriage, you need to create what I call family systems. You need to come together and understand why you are coming together. Fundamentally, first is, why do I want to get married? He mentioned that some people get married because society expects that you get married, because your biological clock is ticking, for many reasons which are not the ideal. So both of you coming into marriage must understand why you want to get married. Because if you do not understand why you want to get married, when you get married and start facing some challenges in marriage, you will not be able to handle it together, because from the onset you never knew what marriage was. You never knew why you wanted to get married.
But 10 years into marriage, even though you didn't know why you want to get married when you started initially, but 10 years down the line, shouldn't you have discovered that, okay, I'm in this marriage, and so I should just live with it and make things work?
It's not as easy.
Surprisingly, there's some people who are married. At times I ask these questions, and people who have been married 5 years, 7 years, they still are unable to answer why they got married. They just got married because we have been raised in a culture that says maybe when you, after school, the next thing is to settle down, start having children. A young man has finished school, maybe he's into business or whatever. The next question people will start asking is that, when are you calling us? When is the party? Or when is the ashrebu? That's one. Then secondly, after finding out why you want to get married, you need to understand, why do you want to get married to him or her? Those two questions must be answered before you get into marriage.
Wow.
Why do I want to get married, and why do I want to get married to this spouse? There are millions of men, there are millions of ladies. Why him? Because the answer you give
Probably
to that
that's
question,
the only person you know.
that's not enough
true.
reason.
It's
You don't know only one person. You must understand what it is about this person that endears you to him. What is it about this person that made me single him out from the crowd? Because I must tell you, marriage is challenging, but that is not to say that marriage is not beautiful. That is not to say that marriage is not to be enjoyed. Everything about life is challenging. Your career is challenging. Your business is challenging. But are you going to say, hey, because business is challenging, I won't go into business? No. You must understand what it will take to make that business work. While you're even at the business, things will be happening, then you learn along the line. But fundamentally, to make marriage work, the two fundamental questions that must be answered is why do I want to get married and why do I want to get married to this partner?
Okay, now, there are some people who actually get into marriage knowing why they want to get married because they say, you know, this is someone I've known all my life, he's my friend, he's my buddy, and even we get to do business together, probably we're in the same industry and, you know, we see ourselves as partners and we're married. But, you know, in that very sweet story, 10 years down the line, you know, somebody in the marriage comes up and say, you know, this person has just become so unlovable that I don't think I can love this person anymore. And I'm wondering what happened there.
Okay. You know, when you take all that she has said, remember the last time we were here, I said exactly what she said. Now, the person you got married to, it means that those two fundamental questions had not been answered by the two of them.
Okay.
After 10 years, they are just realizing that we made a mistake.
Wow.
Because the relationship was never properly defined. It was never properly defined. There were things that moved them on. Those things don't exist anymore. And that's why connecting, love is very interesting. We don't understand love. I mean, man doesn't understand love. Love does not fade. Love does not go away where it is love. And one thing is that you cannot love a person you don't know. So if you just assume that I'm in love with this person because you have a crush on him or a crush on her, it's an assumption. Let me use myself as an example. I tried to persuade my wife to come with me this morning, but the notice was too short and she had other things. Now, myself and my wife had been friends for 3 years. It never occurred to me that she could be my wife. I had some other friends, ladies. There was this party we were supposed to go to. It was a 24th birthday party of a girl's fiancé, a friend's fiancé.
Okay.
And all my other friends that I go to party with, they were not available. So she was the one that was available. And she said she could go out with me, no problem. We've been friends for 3 years, good friends. We work in the same environment, so we are quite used to each other. We got to that party, and the party was one of my very close friends, who I respect his views a lot, saw me and said, for the first time I saw a lady who is marriageable with you. Said, for the first time, this is the only lady I've seen with you that is marriageable.
How did you know that?
Well, he is my friend. He knows me. We went to the same secondary school together. We grew up actually together, so we know each other. Incidentally, he is a Muslim, I'm a Christian. And we have always been close and sincere with each other. When he said that, I pinned it down. From that moment on, the way I saw her began to transform.
Wow. Okay.
Now, it took me another 1 year to make up my mind. And I spoke to her, what is the potential of a relationship? She looked at me and said, is it because we are friends? Just forget it. Let's be friends. I said, okay. And then one day we were talking, something happened, and the two of us just realized that we have common interests, we are looking at things the same way, we are saying similar things, because we were talking about the future, and we just found ourselves talking the same thing. Then she said, maybe what you said some time ago makes sense. I said, what do you mean that? They said, you were talking about this relationship could blossom into another thing. We ended up having a courtship of 7 years.
Wow. But now, did this happen because she was the only person close to you, or there were no other distracting factors?
I told you that I had other ladies around me.
Okay.
But from the moment my friend said that, I began to look at her differently. I don't go out with her. Maybe once in a while, we can just go to cinema then. But I go out mostly with the other ladies who are my friends. And so I never looked at her from that perspective. Okay. But from the moment my friend hinted me, I began to watch, and I saw that, okay, there were so many things about her I didn't like for a wife.
Okay.
But I realized that with time, she was willing to change. She began to query some of the things I do, and I began to explain. Then she began to explain to me why something. Before we knew, we got together.
Wow. Okay, Dima, you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say some of the listeners might say, well, I know why I got married. I know why I got married to my spouse, but things are not working out, or it's not. We're not enjoying that blissful
Probably it's
relationship.
broke, and
Yes.
you started up very wealthy.
Yeah, for such people, I would like them to know that for marriage to work, you must intentionally take deliberate, conscious steps. It's not enough that I know why I got married to you. It's not enough I know why I got married. What are you doing to make the marriage work? Marriage is like, should I say, a garden? Okay, you know the species of the seedlings you bought. That's okay. You know that your soil is good enough to grow the seedlings. That's okay. But will you just put the seedlings and go to sleep because the seedlings are good and the soil is good? No. You have to till the soil when it's time to till it. You have to manure it. You have to water it. You have to nurture it. So relationship in marriage is nurtured. That your marriage does not shut down every sense of creativity, every sense of innovation in marriage. That is where we're seeing some couples lacking. And I must tell you that the economic situation is the easiest excuse people give. Because they say, make out time for your marriage. They'll say, oh, I have to work. I go to work by 5, come back in the night when it's time. If you do not make out time, you will never have time. So a lot of people are leaving their marriages to chance and expecting a blissful marriage. It can't work. You must deliberately take action that will make your marriage work.
Okay. Now, I was speaking to someone who is actually a counselor in her own right. And for people who have issues of marriage, she's the one that tends to talk to those people, and she's at this stage of her life where she says she's even clearly tired of her own marriage. That the person she's married to seems to be stubborn. After years, you're now discovering that the person you're married to is stubborn. That when you talk to him, he doesn't act on what you've said. And she's like, I'm not even going to divorce him. I'm just going to separate from him. And so I'm asking, what happened to all the things you used to believe in, all the advice you used to give to people? What happened in that line?
Well, that's not the first time I'm going to see that. It's easy to see things in the context of other people. But when it comes to you, examining yourself, applying the same yardstick to yourself is very difficult. It's self-righteousness. You think you know. For example, one of the things that she said about tending marriage is that I want to look at marriage from the perspective of God. Everything that has life must grow.
Yeah, sure.
And so when you start a marital relationship, it's life. And in everything that has to grow, there will be challenges, there will be ups and downs. Your ups and your downs, do they make you get stronger or they weaken you? That's where the challenges start. When I was down, you were not there for me. Deep inside, you said something when you there are so many, I can't remember how you put it, but I wrote it down as souls. There are so many souls who are languishing because they are not capable of love. Now, many of us tie love down to things. Love is different from things. There are things, but they must not affect your relationship. Your relationship must be sacrosanct. When there is money, when there is no money, your relationship is the hub around which every other thing flows. The moment you don't ensure that your relationship grow and is strengthened, then you are playing with fire, because all the things you are all standing on, the moment you lose any of them, disenchantment sets in. And that's why a counselor will not be able to take his or her own counsel.
I want to add to what he said concerning the counselor who is having a problem in her marriage. I need for the counselors to understand two things. There's a danger of knowing too much. When you know too much information and you don't know the right way to apply it, it's a danger. Then some counselors have this thing about, it's my partner who is not knowledgeable. He doesn't know what's the right thing. I've been telling people about marriage, so I know it. So you're trying to fix the other person without knowing that every real change starts from you. If you fix yourself, then you can fix somebody else. So it has to do with what he called self-righteousness, where you think you're perfect, it's your partner that has the problem. I had someone chat me up like 3 days ago, and he kept saying, if only my wife, and I'm like, your own, what are you doing in this marriage that makes it this way? He said, no, I just want my wife to link up with you. If you can help, if you can change my wife. So already
so he doesn't have a problem.
And then another problem is that people fail to know that you are a counselor. You can't counsel yourself. Every counselor needs a counselor. Every coach needs a coach. Every mentor needs a mentor. Somebody who you can be accountable to. Somebody that can sit you down and talk to you. So if you are a counselor, you can't do the work on yourself. You need somebody to pull you through. So every counselor must have a counselor.
Okay. Now, this is the age of social media, and what we see these days is people talking about their spouse, my spouse took me to this place, it did this, it did that, and there is somebody who is on that same page whose husband has not done one or half of what you are saying your spouse have done. For you as a family life coach, how would you define what should be moderate on expressing what happens in your family or in your marriage on social media platforms?
Okay. I read something that says you think the grass is greener in your neighbor's place on the other side, then the caption says, don't be deceived, it could be artificial. And I laughed. So we have social media gives a platform where people come to pretend, where people come to present only the goody and not talk about the challenges they're having. That is not to say that couples who show their love publicly on social media are all pretending. No, that's just an aspect of it. Then for what is moderate, if people can be themselves, if people can work on their confidence and have high self-esteem, you won't be bothered or you won't feel bad about what some other person is posting. So I'm not going to advocate for moderation to say, hey, post only once a week or don't show too much love. If you want to show the world that you're happy, hey, show it. That is even a way of modeling. That is even a way of telling people this thing works. That's on the other side of it. For you who is not comfortable, personality types are different. I could be somebody who likes taking pictures and posting. Some other person doesn't like taking pictures, but that doesn't mean he's not enjoying his marriage. That's not just his way of expression. So find what works for you. Find the style that is okay for you and your spouse and do it. That's just it. Don't look at anybody. No, we are all, should I say that every marriage is unique?
Yes. Every
marriage is unique, and we are all running our races differently. So what works for me may not work for another couple. What even may work for me if I was a twin, which I'm not, may not work for my twin sister in her own home. So the idea is to find what works in my relationship and do it, and the other person find what works for you and do it.
Okay.
You're not in competition with anybody.
All right. So now the reason why we are discussing this again is the alarming rate at which people are separating this present day and time. And so the question I want to ask is, what is making this time, this season, a whole lot different that, so many people are just separating? This week, when I was reviewing the papers, for every day, there was a single case of divorce on all the newspapers. And I'm like, so what is happening?
Well,
Why?
The generation we are in now is a very, very expressive generation. Maybe because of the digital aspect of the generation. Now, you see, people have wrong values. And I mean wrong values. What makes a marriage a marriage? Why, when people are getting into marriage, like we said, if it wasn't properly defined, that problem is there. It's foundational, it's fundamental. When you touch the foundation of any relationship, they will be shaken. And if it's not standing well, they will fall. And they will need a reconfiguration. And in that, they need to really see counselors. But some people are too fixated to see counselors. They feel that they know it, they feel that, and they don't. Some of us also who are counselors are part of the problem. because you are privileged to be privy to people's challenges. You may not handle them well. When we could be judgmental, say you are wrong, I don't do that. When I have to work with couples, we work until we find a solution together. I won't see a wife separately or a husband separately. I will always see them together. And we put down all the challenges, we write them down, and we begin to go through them one by one. Is there anyone difficult here that cannot be surmounted? It may take a bit of time. But after a while, they will see areas where they can win, areas where they can let go, and before time, you see that they begin to bounce back.
Okay.
But when they won't make themselves available for that, then once the foundation is shaken, they can't start.
Okay, before I throw my next question, I'd like to open the phone lines. If you want to be a part of this discussion, simply dial the number showing on your screen, because we'll soon wrap up this segment. So we'd like to know what issues you're having in your marriage currently, or what your word of advice is to those who are having issues or challenges in their marriage or relationship tilting towards marriage. That's what we're really looking at. Now, I've heard some counselors say that, you know, for you to have peace, if you feel that you and your spouse are not working together, you know, I won't advise you to divorce, but you guys can separate. And so I'm asking, what's the difference between separating and divorcing the person?
Well, the one thing I've seen is that some people feel that if they're away from each other, maybe they can appreciate each other. They want to feel, do I miss her? Do I miss him? Some of the time, when one of the partners have made up his or her mind to go away, it won't have any effect. But if genuinely they just want to test whether they miss each other, it will help.
Okay.
It will not always help.
Okay, so how advisable is that kind of thing to do? Let's separate.
Let's look at marriage how it is. It's God's creation. And God did not build into it separation. God never said you were not going to have challenges in your marriage. You need to look at yourself. Me, what am I contributing to this problem? Once I identify what I'm contributing, I need to make amends. And that's how we should handle it. It's not pointing accusing fingers at your spouse. Once you realize what you are doing that is not right, then you can undo what you are doing. That one will make, because the other person will feel you cared. But if you are not willing to change what, then we have a problem.
Okay, so how easy is it before I take you, let's take this caller, Sahid. Sahid, good to have you join us. Go ahead with your contribution or comment.
About marriage.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Sahid, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes. There is what is troubling with my mind. What is troubling with my mind since about 4 years ago. So that I've married with my wife. Well, then we have 2 children. So that my wife I lost my wife, in short. But it's painful to my heart. But to express it for anybody is very difficult for me. Then I don't even think for a second maybe I can marry to another person again. This thing is giving me a problem. Maybe you can assist me on that.
Okay. Thank you, Saeed, for calling. So who would like to answer that? He's lost his wife. 2 children. Yes.
And now he doesn't think he can
remarry, yes.
So Saeed, I would like to express my sympathies over the loss of your wife. But from what you said, I can deduce that you've not been able to overcome the grief and the loss of your wife. And I need you to know that it's okay that you are grieving for your wife, but at a point must come where you need to move on with your life, move on even because of your children, not because of your children, for yourself. You need to take care of the grief and then move on. And at this point, I would like to advise that you need to meet a therapist who will help you through grief recovery. You know, in this part of the world, when we talk about therapists and grief recovery, people laugh and say, what's that, and all of that. But you need to appreciate the fact that you have tried to handle this grief on your own, but you have not succeeded. Is there a need for you to see somebody who can help you through the process of recovering from the grief? Yes. Is there a need for you to see someone who would help you to put your life together again and move on? Yes. So I would like for you to, I don't know, maybe if there's a number to reach Tayo later, I could recommend some grief recovery therapists to you who would help you to overcome it and get your life back.
Okay.
And I guess that's what your wife, wherever she is right now, wishes, that you move on with life.
Okay. All right. Now, people in marriage, of course, will say that there are some things that could be forgiven and there are some things that are so difficult to forgive. You know, some will say it's easy for me to forgive my husband who drinks. It's easy for me to forgive my husband who keep late nights, but you know, it's difficult to forgive somebody who flirts. And so, as a marriage counselor, if you were to counsel somebody who has a cheating husband, what would be your advice for her? Before you answer, let's take this call quickly. Good morning, good to have you join us. Go ahead. Yeah, good morning.
I sympathize, I quite sympathize and identify with the last caller, because I too lost my wife and it could be painful. But I got remarried, and I found that you were handling it from, well, let's say, Christian perspective. I am a Christian, and that has helped me because of the way that the Bible says marriage should be. One particular part of the Bible that has really helped me is the fact that the Bible says that we should love our wives, the husband should love their wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. And that Christ is working on the church, speaking to her by the word, washing of water by the word, that he will present the church to himself, a glorious church. So I see it as my responsibility to make my wife what she should be. I realize she's not what I want. But every time I get offended, I get troubled about certain things I see in her, I see it as my responsibility to find a way, looking up to God and using the word of God to correct her and make her the wife I want her to be.
Okay.
And this has helped me a lot. So it doesn't allow our strain to go on for too long, because I see it as my responsibility, not hers.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. That's very helpful there. Thank you. Okay. To the question I asked you. A woman who is living with a cheating husband, how can she cope with such marriage? How can she make such marriage work?
Okay. Before I answer the question, I need to correct an impression, because you said that for some women they could forgive this and some cannot forgive cheating. That is relative. There are some who can forgive cheating and not forgive the other. Okay. So it's not general. It's not an absolute that all women cannot forgive cheating.
Okay.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. So that we get to understand that what I can forgive, it's different for me. What I can't forgive. Personally, for me, I can't stand liars. People that lie for no just reason. For some other person, lying is a normal way of life. So if I'm going to form a relationship with someone and you are what word will I use now? You are somebody who lies at will. My relationship with you cannot go on because I can't hang on around you. Some other person can excuse and say, after all, we all lie, and continue the relationship. So back to that lady who maybe has a cheating husband and she's unable to forgive. I'm going to have to cancel the lady. I'm not going to tell her forgive. As in, when we get people who come and say, Bible says you should forgive 70 times, 7 times. At times we are quick to say that because we are not in the person's shoes. That is not to say I will not lead her to forgive. I will allow her to express herself, pour out her whole heart, say everything she wants to say, and I'll make her feel accepted, that I may not be the one in your shoes, but I understand and appreciate how you feel. Fundamentally, I must make the person know that I don't see her as a devil because she can't forgive. That makes the person settle down, because already she's coming with this thing that I know they will tell me forgive. If I don't forgive, I'm not a good Christian. So she already has prepared herself to defend herself. But when she comes and you are like, I understand why it's difficult for you to forgive, you know, you've already weakened her. Her defenses just fly off the window. So she's now calmer to even, so it's about understanding how to go about it. Eventually, I'm going to lead her through the process of forgiveness. And forgiveness is not immediate. There are some things that will take time.
Okay, let's quickly take Christian. Christian, good to have you join us. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Because I just, I really love you.
What did you say?
So,
okay.
So I said the program is interesting, though I'm facing it.
Okay, thank you.
But I am hoping to imagine the next 3 months. I'm in a serious process of almost 5 years now. But there are some certain qualities in that very. So from the beginning, the girl in question asked if it will lead to marriage. And now I answer that if it is something that is arranged by God, I don't have to. And there is nothing that allow me from here. But at this time, something is going to change. And what I thought as before.
Okay.
I can't have it. Don't give me full of attention. You always give me excuses. But before, we always get details of ourselves. But now, I'm seeing it as if there are some feeling not straightforward. So I don't know what to do. I have to continue with the principle, find a way and control it down.
Okay, Christian, thank you very much. I could barely hear what you said, but I don't know if you got what you were saying.
It seems to be having relationship with the relational problem with the lady.
Okay.
She seems to have changed from the way she used to be, and that is what is confusing him.
Okay.
Well, the counselor will give to you, Christian, is that if you are really a Christian, go and pray.
Okay.
Go and pray, because whatever is going to last should not start giving you problems at this level. So there are things that needed to be resolved. Maybe the lady has now rationalized the relationship and she is having misgivings.
Okay.
He needs to find out.
All right. Now, let me take you on this. Is it a fair statement for a man to say that, okay, though I'm cheating, but you know, you should count yourself lucky because I married you? Is that a justifiable way to excuse yourself?
From my perspective and from the way things ought to be, it's an insult to the lady. It's an insult. It's an insult to the lady. And it shows that the man don't really care about that person. You cannot be sending daggers into somebody's heart and you expect the person to have a heart that will love you. You are sending daggers into that heart and you expect love to flow out of that heart. It won't flow. And I see such men as irresponsible. Even if you are doing anything that will hurt somebody who has decided to invest his life into your life, you keep it away from that person.
Keep it away?
What if you are doing something that will hurt the person who is investing his life into your life?
And say after
you have to keep it away from the person. You don't rub it in and say you should consider yourself lucky.
Because you are the wife and you are the legally
if any man does
person.
that, it's an irresponsible man. That's what we are seeing nowadays. All these people about baby mamas and things. It's a matter of time. When all those children that they got out of wedlock began to grow up and they get older, the loneliness will set in.
Okay,
I wanted to say something about
quickly.
Christian.
Okay.
Because when Christian, the first thing Christian said was that he was in this relationship with the girl, and the lady wanted to know where the relationship was going to, and he told her that it's God's will. He's going to wait on God and all of that. For Christian, I'm assuming, I don't have the full details. I've not spoken with the lady, but I'm just bringing something out of it. He didn't define the relationship.
Never.
He just hung it there. And handed over the definition of the relationship to God. So to say, you didn't tell her if it's okay to say, I'm looking at us taking this relationship to marriage, but I want us to pray about it. We're looking on God to show us the way. You have given the lady a definition that the relationship is going somewhere. You don't just keep quiet and say, I don't know about the relationship, let's wait on God. Perhaps the lady now feels that you are not even committed to it. That could account for the change of behavior that is now saying.
Okay.
So you need to define the relationship
All
with
right.
whoever you are with to know what are we doing together.
Okay.
In as much as we are believing God and waiting upon God. But what is this about?
Okay. All right, now we want to round off the segment, and like the topic says, how to make it work. And the reason why you're on set is because your marriage is an exemplary one, and so in very few sentences, we'd like you to share a secret tip why your marriage has worked. What did you do to make it work?
When from day one, I determined that left to me, my marriage will work, and I will do everything to, as God gives me grace, to let my wife know that I am committed to the marriage and everything that has to do with it. And that has been how it is. When she asks questions, I don't see her as doubting my fidelity. I explain.
Okay, very quickly, let me take Amidun. Amidun, please go ahead. You'll be the last caller on the segment. Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you.
Yes, please, what is the meaning of the topic I want to point that you are saying that marriage is the best in life?
That marriage is what?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
It's the best in life.
I didn't get that. Okay, I didn't get what it was there. You said the dead to life or something. I couldn't get
it myself.
Well, Amidu, if you could call back before we round up, would like to know what you mean by what you were just saying. Okay, so
I said
the decision from day one.
Day one.
But is it easy to stick to such?
It is easy if you know that is what you have made up your mind about. It's easy. For example, let me just give us something happened the day Babangida coup that took over from Buhari. Then my wife was on night duty at the airport. She was working at the airport, and I went there on a good day to look for my wife. She had told her colleagues that if by 7 o'clock my husband doesn't see me, he will be there before 10, and I was there before 10.
Wow.
And even the military people there were saying, you want to kill yourself because of a woman? I said, you have a woman at home, I have a wife. There's a difference.
All right, good one. So to you, Chidima.
What I would say is the secret of my marriage is that my husband and I learn and grow together. That has been the secret of my marriage, because what some of the things we had in mind when we got married 13 years ago had evolved. Both of us had changed because we've never been married, so some challenges brought out some other side of us. But because we consciously, I always look at marriage as intentional living. You need to take deliberate, conscious steps to work on your marriage. And like the Bible says that my people perish for lack of knowledge. It didn't say people perish for lack of prayer, because even knowledge will help you pray well. So you must constantly seek knowledge, because the knowledge I had 13 years ago has been updated over the years. So if I just held on to what I knew about marriage then and I did not deliberately update it, I may not be enjoying blissful marriage now. So that's the secret. We learn and grow together. Okay. And when we acquire the knowledge, we apply it into our marriage, how it suits us personally, and that is why we are where we are today.
All right, thank you so very much, Chidima Nwobi and Olu Fonsho Ige. It was really nice having you both on the program. Yes, and thank you too for staying with us on this segment. But next week we're actually going to continue this conversation, but in a different light. So you want to stay with us next week as we continue the series on relationship matters and things that we could learn on how to make it work. Right now we'll take a quick break, and when we return we'll be back with another segment of the program. So stay with us.
for topical issues. Nigerians must have something to say.
We don't need